Hey, Metal Maniacs, this is James of Stagewar, and you are thrashing it up on Dave Softee's Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio.
Alrighty, Metal Maniacs, here we go. Please help me welcome to Metal Messiah Radio, hailing from Germany, from thrash metalers Stagewar. This is my second opportunity getting together with Stagewar over the last few years. I think the last time was 2017. But I want to make a special note to the people. This is the man we're talking to right now who designed Metal Messiah Radio's 13th anniversary JEEBUS logo. Outstanding. Everybody, please welcome Bassist James Reuter.
Hey Dave, how's it going?
It's going great, bro. Nice to meet you, and I like your work. You do a great job.
Thank you very much.
And let's talk more about Danger to Ourselves. Who was responsible for producing this effort, and what studio was this recorded in, and who was responsible for mixing and mastering?
Well, all the work goes to Kimon, really, because through the years, Kimon has set up a studio in our rehearsal room. So it's fully, it's got microphones in it, so you can record at any time, which is really cool. And he's been putting so much work into getting the whole, professional level that was needed to make an album. So the whole thing is recorded in our rehearsal room by Kimon. And then we decided to have a professional mastering. So Kimon called up Ayosha from Pitch Black Studios, and he's kind of he's a major recording guy here in Germany. He did a couple of very popular German bands, and we know him because we did a demo with him years and years and years ago. That was before I left the band back then. It was in Cologne, one of Germany's larger cities, and we didn't have a place to sleep, so we decided, we go to his rehearsal studio, which is actually, it used to be in a prison. It was this old prison thing. And it was really cool. But yeah, we had this end of the story is basically we didn't find anywhere to sleep because it was all booked out. So we had to sleep on the streets, which was funny. And it was really cold. And Kimon was almost mugged that night.
Oh my God.
And it was a funny story. Just one more anecdote of that evening, because it was so cold and we didn't have any, mattresses or anything, Dominik, he decided to sleep on a French croissant, those bakery things. It was the only thing he had. So he was
slept
sitting on that in the corner. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the next morning, I was woken up by this huge dog. He was standing on top of me, and looking for something in that corner where Dominik was. He wasn't there anymore. And then the dog pulls out this like paper thin crust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
Anyway, that was the first time we met Ayosha, and he did a demo for us back then, and now he mastered the album. So it's like self-produced but mastered in a professional studio.
Okay, very cool. And it sounds like you guys really pay your dues. You really have done what you have to do to get this music out there. It's crazy. But the sad thing is that you haven't really been able to perform because of the COVID, or have you been able to do any shows at all?
Well, we had 3 shows since the album's been out, which is quite sad, but they were good shows. We had one on in Frankfurt, is a big metal festival, which was really cool. It was sold out completely, open air, good weather, really good fun. And then we had another small venue gig, which was cool. And then we had the CD release party, basically, the album release party, which we organized ourselves. It was really cool, but that's all we had, and that's all we're going to have this year, because now our label, we wanted to do a tour in Poland and in the Czech Republic, which are our neighbors here in Germany. Okay. And they have a really cool metal scene, and we have lots of people we know there. Now they have major problems with the pandemic, so they're all locked down, no chance, tour's been scrubbed. And all the other things we had planned are all scrubbed, and we're just working on our set now, basically, and recording some new stuff, and it's quite a disappointment.
Well, you know what the problem is? Without being political, they open everything up, and so everybody's out there again, and then the pandemic grows, and then they have to shut things down again. That's basically what's going on.
That's exactly what happened there. That we booked the show there because last year, or this year, they were very easygoing with all these restrictions. So we thought, oh well, we book a tour there. We're all vaccinated, it will be possible. But now, because they've been so easygoing, it's all locked down, and they're having big problems there. So.
Well, that really sucks. But I hope that the band gets to do a lot more interviews to spread the word, because that's what we need to do. You need to promote the band without being on shows. It's really difficult.
It's difficult, but it's people like you, Dave, that really keep us going. Because I mean, you spend your time really giving something to the metal scene with all the work you do for the radio show. All the guys from Metal Messiah Radio are really cool, and it's people like you who are keeping the scene going at the moment.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. It's horrible. This thing isn't going away, and people need to still take it seriously.
What's it like in New York? I mean, it was dreadful back then, wasn't it? So
it was. Now? It was. Man, I think that they're saying that this thing is rising, but it's not like it was back a year and a half ago. It wasn't like in March till, let's say, June, how bad it was. Or was it June or May? From March to May, it was horrible. And then it got a little bit better. But without the vaccine, though, why people are like not wanting to get it, I never understood that. I mean, it's about life and death. Protect yourself. That's simple as that.
Well, it's as you say. I don't like being political about anything really, because I'm not that type of person. But one funny thing is, like in for instance in Brazil, where you have Bolsonaro telling the people not to get vaccinated, and they are saying like, well, I don't care what this guy says, I'm going to get it, But on the other hand, like in Germany, we have the problem that we have our politicians telling everyone to get it, and they're like, well, I'm not doing what these guys are telling me,
Right. I hear you. It's amazing that, like, if the politicians say do this, the normal response is to say, no, I'm not going to do it. Or whatever the opposite is. You say black, I say white, and that's it.
Yeah, well, in Germany, the problem is also that it was actually quite easy on us when it came to the death toll, because like in France, in Spain, in Italy, our neighboring countries, there were so many dead people that you could not, ignore the situation. And like almost everybody knew someone who had died. And here in Germany, they managed to keep the death rate rather low. So everyone's like, wow, I don't believe it. And did he really die of that, And it's almost like in the countries where it really hit, people are more into getting the vaccination because they understood how serious the problem is. And here, because kind of it worked out well, people are like, oh no, I don't really trust them with that. It's weird. Yeah.
People are afraid. That's the basic thing of that. But getting back to Stagewar, I noticed on the MDD Records Metal channel, video for Run, or RUN, the official video. Could you tell us a little bit of background behind this video, and if the band is planning on making any future videos, being that you have the time to do it, maybe you can? Yeah,
well, let's start with Run. The video to Run is a really cool coincidence, because Kimon met his old school, or even kindergarten friend, who we hadn't seen in years, and it turns out that guy is a professional puppet player, and he worked for Sesame Street in Germany and other German children's programs. He makes his own puppets and he plays them on TV, so that's his job. And that was really cool. So Kimon thought, well, why don't we work together? And he's also a metalhead, so yeah, there we go. He built the puppet, and the puppet has a name. He's called Softee, which is like a German phrase for maybe someone who is very simple-minded, if you want to take it that way. But Softee is a really cool guy. He has anger problems, and he has a bit of a drug problem. But it's in the video. It's basically it's not. He doesn't take drugs. If you look at it, it's candy. Okay, so it's a children's video. Everyone can watch it. It's candy. It's no drugs. But yeah. we decided to incorporate this figure, and we kind of worked on the whole thing all together as a band. We all sat down with Christian, that's the name of the guy who plays the puppet, and we were amazed to see how much work it is to play a puppet, because if you see it, you just think it's just a guy there waving his hand around. But Christian, he had to sit underneath a table, like in a really, really awkward position that you would get, back problems just from doing it for 2 minutes. And he did it for the whole day. And it was really hot underneath that thing, because he has a little monitor down underneath the puppet. And then he's underneath the puppet itself. So the heat is just incredible. And he had to be in there for hours and hours because we did all these scenes. So it's really hard work, and we're really happy that we have him. And yes, we are definitely going to do more with Stumpfi, because we're actually planning. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this at the moment. I think I'm going to. Well, we have some cool stuff coming with Stumpfi.
Okay,
that's what I can say.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
We actually do have a new music video that is already all filmed. We are just at the moment still kind of cutting, the scenes together, and it will be released this year, and it's going to be pretty cool. It's actually filmed in my old shack. I have a shack with really. I bought a house a few years ago, and it's a really old house, and it has this really scary old shack where it's like above the garage. There's this old like a work shop with very, very old tools, 100 years old, and it's creepy. And I love it. And yeah, we did the video in there, and you're gonna like it.
So Stumpfi is like the metal version of Oscar the Grouch, the Muppet, and so is he going to be the mascot of Stagewar?
Well, he's definitely gonna be a good friend of Stagewar. You see, the problem with mascots is that you have to put so much energy into them, because you have to repeat the thing again and again and again. And, at the moment we're not really too into, making it our mascot, but we just see how things go. We're going to do some more stuff with Stumpfi, but we're thinking on not only exclusively, having it be like a Stagewar thing. We're thinking of maybe, again, I don't know if I'm allowed to say all of this at this moment, but anyway, we have some cool plans in general with this puppet. So,
thanks for that information. That is cool. I actually have it as my desktop in red. It's a beautiful thing, and very proud to have that. And again, thank you for creating that. That is a great job.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Yeah, and thank you for being here on the Metal Meltdown. Thank you for this opportunity. From chatting with you on Facebook, I realized that you're not a new member, but you are a member that was with the band before Killing Fast, and they're back with the band, and that is great. So it's a pleasure to get with you to talk about the latest from Stagewar.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. So how are you doing out there today?
Well, I'm good. It's like 8:30 in Germany right now. So my daughter is in bed, and everything's cool and quiet, and I'm sitting here in my shop, happy, all peaceful. Everything's good.
Excellent. So I'm curious, I asked this question maybe too many times, but we've all been dealing with the same pandemic, this COVID-19. So I'm curious to know how this treated you and the rest of the guys in Stagewar.
Yeah, it's been really difficult, to be honest. We as a band, we really do need live gigs, because we are a live band. Our whole concept of the band is just set up to be played live. You'll get the real feeling on stage. It's not the same if you just listen to the music, especially in the style of metal that we do. So that was a bad thing. And another thing was that we were not allowed to work due to the lockdown procedures in our country. And for me, being self-employed as a tattoo artist, it was a real nightmare. And I'm still kind of, dreading another lockdown now, because in Germany, they're just getting the restrictions up again. Kind of a never-ending story here. But yeah, we managed to do the best we could with recording the album at that time. And I used the time, for instance, to do the artwork for the album cover. And Kimon used a lot of time because he works for an orchestra. He's like a roadie for an orchestra.
Interesting.
So it's a symphonic orchestra of Frankfurt. It's one of the biggest in Germany. And he's on tour with them a lot. He gets to travel through all these countries. He's been all over the place. But they didn't play. So all he did was like once a week he had to go there and set up webcam orchestra concerts and stuff like that. So he was in our rehearsal room / studio doing all the boring work on the album, because when all the recording's over, you have most of the work is still to do, mixing and all that stuff. So we've been productive, but it's been rough.
I'm sorry to hear that. That is the way it is, though, and hopefully that'll change. But I don't know. It's taken a longer time than I thought. And,
it is, yeah.
Have you been vaccinated, by the way?
Yeah. As I'm working, with people closely, I just thought I just want to get this all over with. You know what I mean? I just want to work. I don't care about all that stuff. The substances I put in my body throughout the years. I think a vaccination is not going to be any worse than that.
Yeah, it's true, right? I can imagine. But that being said, it's great to have you here to talk about new Stagewar music, because it's been a while. I think 2017, actually through Vlad Promotions at the time, one of the bands on the roster was Stagewar, and we did an interview for Killing Fest, which was a really great album. But here, we're finally going to talk about the next offering called Danger to Ourselves. And this is actually released on Black Sunset, which is part of the MDD Records. So that's a great thing. So congratulations on that. It's always been killer thrash from Stagewar, excellent thrash metal. I'm interested to know how the music came together this time, how the writing process was, as far as who was writing the words, who was writing the melodies, and how this all came to be, and what was the inspiration behind it.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for liking our music. We're honored. Secondly, it's kind of always the same thing when we write an album. It's not like, for instance, we don't have like a Steve Harris who does most of that kind of work, but we all kind of write songs. So Kimon, every now and then he writes a song. Then it's our frontman Dominik. He writes whole songs, and then we mix it all together in the rehearsal room, basically. For this album, though, we took more time to write the song out, more in the style that we actually really, really wanted to present this time, because the last album, the idea behind the last album, I wasn't present when the last album was written because I wasn't in the band at the time, but I know this from the guys that they wanted to really get to the point with the last album, so the songs were much shorter, and like the main information of the song was just put in as short as possible to make the songs more, it went more like in a hardcore punk direction, and which was really cool. But there is more to Stagewar than just, the hardcore punk kind of energy thing. So the new album incorporates a lot of, for instance, Dominik's very much blues-oriented riffings and very personal lyrics to each song. So the difference between the other albums is basically that the songs we wrote, we took more time to write them.
I see, okay. And what was the reason that you weren't in the band during the time of the previous release? You had other things going on?
Yeah, I was in an apprenticeship to become a tattooer.
Okay.
And I had to work 3 jobs at the same time. I was a barkeeper. I was a landscape gardener, and I was an English teacher for school kids that had bad grades, and I helped them with their English. And at the same time, I was working in a tattoo shop and cleaning the toilets for 2 years. before I was allowed to tattoo anything.
Wow.
That's the way it should be, by the way. It shouldn't be any other way than that.
You paid your dues.
Yeah, I didn't have any time. I was in bands. I had a band with Kimon. We had a punk band called Die Inquisitors. It's a kind of a German thing going, but we weren't like madly professional about that. It was just a fun thing, because I just didn't have any time to be in a professional band at that stage.
I totally understandable. It's very important, especially now, to in the times that we're in, for helping underground bands by letting the fans know where they can get merchandise, where they can get digital downloads or band camps or physical copies of the CD. So I want to give some links to the fans so they can support Stagewar. I have MDD shop link, mdd-records.de/Stagewar. And I have your Amazon. I believe it's Amazon, amzn.2/2WJN capital LDN. Are these the best places to go find merch for Stagewar or the music?
Well, they are okay. You can go on them, but you can also just give in stagewar.com, and then you're going to check out our new website. And we have a link there to all our merchandise, which is not just only, reduced to the new album. We also have cool T-shirts. And we have various T-shirt designs because we basically make the T-shirts ourselves. We have a guy who prints them at home, and he does it really well. So we can put out loads of T-shirt designs all the time. And you can have a look at our website, stagewar.com. Everything there, linked to the shop. So that's probably the easiest way to get merchandise going. Yeah, well, you can go straight to stagewar.bandcamp.com. You can buy our new album there, and you can buy T-shirts. And we're going to update it regularly, so there's going to be different types of T-shirts there. We're going to get the brand new Danger to Ourselves shirt, which is really cool. And also, you can download our old music, and also you're going to be able to download demos, because we have decided to put our old demos on our Bandcamp, because they've all sold out. They've never been reprinted or anything. And it's stagewar.bandcamp.com.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm looking at the Stagewar logo, and it really, really stands out. It's the gold version of it. It's like embedded in stone. Did you design that?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I did. And there's a cool story to that. Do you know the 80s board game called Hero Quest?
I don't.
No. Okay.
No.
Well, listen, I'm a nerd. You know what I mean? I when I was a kid, I was into Dungeons and Dragons and board games and stuff like that, fantasy stuff. And there is this board game from Games Workshop, and it's from the 80s, and it's called Hero Quest, and it's amazing. And all my childhood, young teenage days, and later, I've been playing this board game with my mates, and it's got a really cool logo. We had the Stagewar logo. It's the same shape as it always has been, but I wanted to make it look like that Hero Quest logo. So you have a look at that, and you'll see it's exactly the same style.
Interesting. And I don't think I asked you about your CD artwork. What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, Kimon had an idea, which was quite cool, and he did a little sketch for me, and it was a big cobra with 3 heads, and 2 of the heads were biting the main cobra. So those are like the Danger to Ourselves, snakes biting the same snake, but it had 3 heads. So I said, cool, I'm going to do that as the artwork. And then I started doing the sketch, and I was like, fuck that, I can't. Oh, sorry, am I allowed to swear on your show?
Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you. Okay. You can say whatever the fuck you want. Don't worry about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was like, no, it's not working. I was sketching it and sketching. It's like, how am I going to do this? Because we wanted to do a fold up album, so you can put it on digipack CD and on vinyl, so you get a big, like, Iron Maiden, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Yeah.
When you get the vinyl and you open it up and it's a whole big design.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do that, and with this snake thing, it just didn't work because you have the 3 heads on one side, and then the back side you just have the tail. So what are you going to put there? It's boring. And so I was in a lockdown, and every evening I did not know what to do. My kid went to bed, and I was just sitting there. I couldn't go out, so I decided, okay, I'm going to just paint this whole thing, not digitally, but traditionally with proper paints like they used to do in the 80s. And then I didn't really have a plan. I just drew this thing, and it just happened. And yeah, that's the story behind it.
Yeah, it reminds me almost like a Grateful Dead type of look to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you remember Grateful Dead?
Yeah. I wanted to go for the vintage, kind of psychedelic thing, but I wanted to put in a little bit of, 80s sci-fi and 80s, fantasy, cyberpunk kind of things, just to give it that vibe. So I hope it turned out that way.
You do great work. You
so.
really do great work. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And James, would you like to talk about your bass player, your bass guitars, or any other gear you may have? Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, for Stagewar, I'm forced to play with a 5-string bass, which I usually do not like to play very much. I like classic 4-string bass, like precision bass. Like, Steve Harris is my biggest idol when it comes to bass guitarists, but also, Lemmy and Peter Steele. Because you're from New York, so Peter Steele actually is one of my favorite bass players. I think his bass lines are really, really good, But anyways, for Stagewar, I played a 5-string bass back in the days, 12 years ago when I started with the band. So at the moment, I am playing on it's not a real Music Man. It's a Sterling by Music Man bass. It's a Ray, it's like a Stingray 5-string, and it's a really cool instrument. I've been playing Ibanez 5-string bass, Warwick 5-string bass before for Stagewar, and now I'm playing the Sterling Stingray. And Stingray is a really, really good bass guitar for metal. It's got the classic, precision bass feeling to it. It's very powerful on the lower string, which is always a problem when you buy 5-string basses, I think. And I don't have a very fancy amp or very fancy amplifiers. I just have a very basic set, but it's very big and very loud. So that's really cool. But one of my fancy things for my bass sound at the moment is my new, it's like a dark glass. That's what the brand is called. It's a preamp pedal, which has a really cool sound. They use it as it's called Alpha Omega. Bass guitarists will probably know this thing. It's actually a distortion, but I don't use it as a distortion. I use it clean because it's got a really cool preamp to it. And well, that's all I do. I play with fingers. I used to play with a click when I started playing bass. But as I like Steve Harris, and I've seen him very close because I saw British Lion. I don't know if you know. Do you know British Lion?
British? No, I'm not familiar with that.
No, it's Steve Harris' second band next to Iron Maiden. And,
okay.
It's a very small, a very unknown band really, and they do very small gigs in small locations. So if you go and get to see them, you get to see Steve Harris really close and see how he plays. And I had the honor to do that, and I even met him after the show. It was so cool. And I saw his fingers just flying, and the sound was so cool. So I decided to learn to play bass with the fingers after almost 20 years of playing with a pick. So that was difficult, but now I'm really, really happy I did, because I enjoy it much more. And I hope you can hear a little bit of the bass from the album. We tried to get the bass sound out a little bit without making it too unique sounding to the rest of the instruments. We wanted to fade it in, but you get it out just a little bit. So if you listen to the bass, maybe you can hear a little bit of that kind of Steve Harris licks that I tried to.
I'll have to take notice of that when I listen to it again. For me, it just sounds really thrashy, and that's what I like.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
It took me years, and I'm still kind of not at the point where I want to be, but I'm working hard on that at the moment.
It's like you're relearning how to play the bass all over again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
But I've started doing that about 7 years ago. So I'm already at the point where I'm kind of confident with, I'm not really good at playing with the pick anymore now because I haven't done it for so long. But yeah. And another thing is that on the first album, I played the bass, and the bass lines were obviously written to be played with a pick. So I have to now play them with my fingers, and they're really, really difficult because they're so fast. But with the free finger technique, it works.
That's good to know. That's cool. That's cool. You worked hard, though. I hear that. Is there anything else that we could bring out to the Stagewar fans we have yet to discuss? Is there anything that you'd like to mention that we have not mentioned yet?
Well, we're really doing our best at the moment to, when we are allowed to play shows again, we are working on a really good live set with all that goes into that. We're going to upgrade the visuals on our stage performance. We're going to upgrade, the whole set is going to be very much like a really, really cool show. So it's not, you have metal bands that just, they get on stage and then they play their stuff really well, but that's it. And then they leave the stage. And then you have bands like, in the 80s, the metal bands like, Sabotage, for instance, and Maiden and all those, and you see the show, and it's not only an acoustic thing, it's also a visual thing. That's another thing that Peter Steele said, by the way, another props.
Oh yeah.
You go to a show, you don't want to just see someone play his instrument really well, because you can have that at any time on the internet. You're listening to very well played music all the time. We are really gonna present a very interesting new set with all that goes with it. So we are hoping our fans are going to be able to see us soon, and maybe springtime. It's very difficult to say, but when we do hit the stage, it's going to be very, very good. I can promise that.
That's good news. And I want to ask your opinion about your fans. Now, when you go perform at a show and you see fans standing there with their arms crossed, staring at you playing, doesn't that bother you? Don't you prefer them to be going crazy with their hands up in the air and doing whatever, being active out there in the audience, rather than just standing there with their arms crossed, staring at you perform, right?
Well, yeah. Let me tell you this: when we in the early days of Stagewar, we used to play for a very big German biker club or a big European biker club. I don't know if you have these guys in America. They're called the Gremium MC. I don't know if you know them. They're the biggest. They're the biggest club in Germany, and we used to play for them. And we actually did a song for them also, because the doorman for one of the biggest clubs in Frankfurt was like the president of them at the time, and a really cool guy. Dozer, his name, and he promoted us back then a lot. He helped us into a lot of festivals and a lot of venues. So as a way of saying thank you, we wrote a couple of songs for his club. And that's the thing, if you play in front of these guys, you have everyone just standing there with their arms crossed and just looking at you. And I was scared shitless, man. 'Cause I was a 19-year-old skinny dude, you know. I had no muscles, whatever. All I had was weed and, you know, and I was playing in front of these guys and they did not move. They did not even look at us. They just sat there. And I thought, okay, man, they're going to kill us. They hate us.
Oh my God.
But when we were finished, they would be like, oh, it's good. I like that.
Interesting.
That's what they say. So, you know,
wow.
we kind of, we go with it because also back in the days when we played, it was, in Germany, it was the death metal and, you know, like metalcore craze at that time. So every show we played was mainly either a death metal show or a metalcore show. And we played classical 80s style thrash metal with speed and heavy metal influences, which obviously was really out of fashion, you know, for these guys. So
right.
when you got to the venue and they saw us and then they read the name and it said thrash metal or speed metal or whatever, they'd be, oh, that's shit. And then, and when we did hit the stage, they would go crazy because it was, you see, that's the difference between metal of the 80s and what happened like in the 90s is that metal in the 80s was about party and fun, you know. So if you see old metal shows, you see people are having fun, people are having a party, you know. People seem to just be like that with certain types of metal music, but when we play, we try to make, you know, a party. So we do good fun. We have good fun. We hope the fans they feel the vibe, you know. So people get it, and usually everyone is rather happy after a Stagewar show, I'd say. Yeah.
We'd love to get to see Stagewar in the States. I hope that becomes a possibility. Man.
Oh God, we'd love to do that, of course.
You got to play in New York.
Oh, I'd love to go to New York. I'd love to see. I'd like to see Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Bridge, and yeah, the whole. You know, I'm also a big fan of old like New York hardcore punk.
Okay.
That's really cool. So it would be nice to see what it's like there.
Hopefully that happens one of these days.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully when COVID's gone and you have the chance to do that, right?
Yeah, and there's no war or anything. Who knows what happens after COVID?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, who wants to think about that now, right?
Yeah.
James, is there anything that you would like to say at this time to the Stagewar fans that are tuning in right now? Is there anything that you'd like to say to them?
Well, Stagewar fans, thank you for being our fans. And thank you for, you know, liking our new album, because we do get a lot of positive feedback and we're so happy about it. It's been so much work, and we're really glad that it's taking off, and we're just so sorry we can't play for you guys, because that's basically all we want to do is just meet everyone again and just have a good time, be on stage. But I promise, in the name of the band, we are ready for a tour, and we're gonna tear the house apart when we go on stage.
I'm sure your fans are eagerly awaiting you, and they want you to be there too.
Oh yeah. I like to hear that.
I'm sure of that. That's just like we're deprived of seeing live shows like we used to, you know.
Oh yeah.
So there's definitely a need for that. Anyway, James, it's been a pleasure talking with you and having you on the Mental Meltdown, spending time talking about Stagewar. We probably could go on for hours and hours ranting and raving about all the bullshit out there, you know? But it's been fun, and I hope we get to do this again for future releases.